Michael Salinger! Sign up! Sign up for open mic! Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I got caught up. Yeah, I noticed. Yeah, there's pads and pens.
There's pads and papers. You're supposed to be writing poetry. Sign up for the open mic.
Sign up for the open mic.
Okay, I don't think this is doing anything.
Yes, it is. That's for the camera.
It's a camera.
Yeah, it's a camera.
Oh, really?
Famous.
Oh.
You can show Smiths that this is what we did from this. Yeah, it'll be on the internet.
Oh, we'll be on the internets?
Yes, indeed.
We'll be on one of the, which of the internets will we be on?
The one that Senator Stevens called us, it's tube. It's a series of
It's a series of tubes. Which tube are we going to be in? All right, I'm going to start with the same poem I always start with. A poem is a 1957 Greyhound bus with its front tires, balloon press pushed up against the curb, diesel idle vibrating its rear view mirrors so the images within them blur, mnemonically opening the doors to an individual's interpretation. A poem can be a pair of wingtips, exhausted leather shoes, or an angel's feathers. Either image will do. That's just a transit token coin flip. But you take these wingtips, and like a sacrificial pawn, you center them on a square of scuffed linoleum tile, part of a pattern chessboarding across the floor of some podunk town's Art Deco terminal with its cruciform cracked plaster arching overhead, the whole effigy bustling up the sun-sank horizons of your experiences with the blue transformational hum of phosphorescent neon. A poem could be that outdated pack of Twizzlers in the silver pull-knob candy machine that you contemplate trading your last 2 quarters for when you're starving to death. Or a poem could be a stale cup of coffee on a Formica counter in front of the only occupied stool at the end of that red vinyl and chrome mushroom line when your dreams make you afraid to close your eyes and go to sleep. A poem could be warp and woof weaved inside gray cotton ball puffs, exhaling into sub-zero air the response of your depression of an accelerator. And then lurching away from that plexiglass shelter, accordion doors playing a traveling tune as they fold closed. Or a poem can smell like burning rubber, when the accumulated slush within the wheel well of your mind has begun to solidify into ice. And it's grasping your spinning tires in its expanding frigid vice till you can't go any further. You just can't go any further, so you pull off to the side of the road, the rest of the world becoming the breeze of semi-trucks as they roar by, and you kick this obstruction to the median. And then you rejoin the arterial rush of traffic and you leave that clump behind, or it become a reflection that's closer than it appears. And with the next thaw, it'll melt, depositing salt bleach bits of gravel in some indecipherable I Ching formation that nonetheless confirms you were there. A poem can just as easily take you to or away from home. How'd I end up in this cave? That's not part of the poem. I'm talking about the sound here. I got this feedback coming back on me here. Okay, as Sarah said, we're both poets. We both make our living as poets, and in order to make your living as a poet, we teach in schools. We teach teachers how to teach, and we travel around. One of the things I do is I run a program out at Playhouse Square called Slam U that brings youth together, and we put together the Youth Poetry Slam team that goes to the nationals for kids, for kids from 16 to 19. And this year that was held in New York City. When we went to New York City, they followed us with a film crew this year, VIZ, and I'd never been to Birdland. And I'd always wanted to go to Birdland, and one of the cats that was doing the filming also was a big jazz fan. So we decided, we had one night where we could get away. We're going to go to Birdland. We're going to watch whoever's there. We didn't care who was there, and it was a guy named João Bosco, who is a Portuguese guitarist. And it was $35 to get in with like a $40 minimum at the table. And by the time we got out of there, we spent $300. But we saw this guitarist, and we were at Birdland, and this poem came from that. It's called Fidel Castro at Birdland. Fidel Castro is playing jazz guitar at Birdland in New York City on April 26, 2006, and his acoustic guitar was made by a Japanese man living in Brazil where the mahogany for the neck of the instrument grew. The fingerboard has been crafted from imported Indian ebony, the front Oregon cedar, back and sides the wood of trumpet-shaped blue flower jacaranda tree. The machine head is ivory-tipped peg and gear assembly holding 8 strings in tune, precision fabricated in Japan by a computer numerically controlled lathe. And Fidel Castro is singing in Portuguese, laughing at his own lyrics, his left hand crab crawling up and down the frets, his right bouncing about the strings as if he were counting the notes on an adding machine. The backup guitar and bass players, they nod and they crack jokes behind his back. And Fidel Castro sings about love, and he sings about losing love, and he sings about finding another love. And he sings about the love he thought he'd lost but was merely hibernating in places where he failed to look till this very instant. Fidel Castro spits a bit when he sings. Droplets backlit by blue stage light, reminiscent of time-lapse film of dogwood flowers shooting pollen into the air, all the while the drummer accentuating downbeats on a cowbell muted with duct tape. And we sit at our manhole-sized table, exorbitantly priced drinks soaking semicircles into the white linen, and we listen. We listen to this Fidel Castro. This Fidel Castro, who in 1945, while a law student at the University of Havana, followed the black spike-heeled blonde wearing the blue sequin dress into the Tropicana Club, where he listened to Dizzy Gillespie, completely forgetting about his date with the redhead at the Communist Party meeting. This Fidel Castro, for whom music is the revolution. Yeah. And the guy did look just like Fidel Castro, so that's where that came from.
Che approves.
Che approves. Che was a big jazz fan. He rode a motorcycle and all that good stuff.
Talk about what he did.
Okay. One of the lucky things we get to do with our job is that we travel pretty much all over the world anymore. Last year we were doing a teachers conference in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam, and part of the conference we had a reception at the presidential palace in Ho Chi Minh, so we were like standing in the map room where Nixon and Kissinger were, and you could look out the window and you could see the old American embassy where the helicopters took off from, and I'm sitting there eating ice cream with a guidance counselor from a school in Bangkok, and I go, how the fuck did we end up here? You know, I mean, it was just amazing. So the other thing about Ho Chi Minh, there's no traffic rules. They don't bother with like a dividing line in the road, and there are no lights. There's no traffic lights that are obeyed, and if you want to cross the street in Ho Chi Minh, you just step off the sidewalk and walk through traffic as if you were walking through water running into a rain gutter, and you just got to trust that everyone is going to go around you, and any sudden moves will have you killed. And it's fun after you learn that to watch people that have just arrived don't know how to cross the street. Ho Chi Minh, Nice, Saigon, 30 years to the day when olive green and gray colored bats flew from the embassy belfry, flop, flap, flop, flap, flapping punctuation of escape from this DIY hell. At City Art Museum, blue silk iodide attendants suggest we begin at the top, where the past is stored. We climb 3 flights, French provincial steps, staircase, gap-toothed, missing ceramic tiles, yellow paint flakes peeling from walls, broken stained glass repaired with plastic. A metal cage encased fan blade spins slowly clockwise, shuffling sticky heat forward through doorways of vaguely lit vaulted galleries. Top floor, greeted by Buddha bust, henna red rock chiseled, pockmarked by time, sans glass case or velvet rope, braving the elements since before Christ was born. Bronze elephant-headed Hindu god, patina hand raised in peace, decapitated wooden temple guards, torsos only swords raised, heads piked and displayed elsewhere. In fleeing conqueror's library or antique shop in Ho Chi Minh City, District 1. Middle floor, war. Painting after painting, sculpture after sculpture, cubist, realist, abstract, and impressionist images from entire generations whose children were raised in tunnels. They, the lucky ones, hidden from the sun, while Dow Chemical and friends painted the jungle above into oblivion with napalm and Agent Orange. This artistry exhibited as deformed fetus in glass jar in Crosstown Museum of the American War. Ground floor. Contemporary pen and ink, watercolor and oils of rice paddy labor, fish and stork woodblock prints, Asian beauties beneath parasol, each for sale. Rendered by those who never knew or have chosen to forget the horrors up one flight of steps. We purchase a pastel of mischievous cats because we find it whimsical and affordable, hoping it will match our walls on our side of the globe. Okay. I am the father of two boys. One is 15, the other one is 17. We're looking at colleges and stuff already. This poem was written when he was 13, and it's got an epigram. Time is a great teacher, but unfortunately it kills all its pupils. Hector Louis Berlioz. At 13, my son, his body a coat hanger jutting from his tank top and baggy shorts, wants to comprehend only one thing. That, of course, being everything. His mother speaks of gardening and seeds because that's what she knows. I, on the other hand, lecture on trajectory. The speed of sound sluicing through various liquids, baseball analogies, economics, Newton's third law of physics, and plumbing fixtures because I know nothing. All the time swearing that what I know is best. And he sits with his back against the checkered tile wall in an armless wooden kitchen chair, part of the set that his mother and I bought before we split. And he waits for the answers to the questions that keep me awake at night. I do not say that truth comes as a dream, the details fading with sunrise, or that the miracle of life is the tribulation that we actually survive. Rather, I assure him that in time he will understand, hoping that I'll hold him for a while. As I've said, it's not easy making a living as a poet, and one thing you need to do is to travel a lot, because it's tough to get people to pay you in the same town twice.